to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think we've all had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting. So move it. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. HS 1, resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Division of Mental Health Hygiene, to accept an additional New York State Office of Mental Health state aid for 2026. Nicole, would you speak to us about that?
Yes. We are receiving from the New York State Office of Mental Health additional state aid in a total amount of $375,000. The 81,000 of that is allocated for our OMH supported housing program, which is operated by Oswego County Opportunities. The other 365,000 in change is new money that we were not anticipating that comes with a mandate from New York State to further enhance our assisted outpatient treatment program, which is court-ordered treatment services for eligible individuals. So not quite sure what we're going to be doing with those funds yet. We have to figure that out and submit a plan to the state. So at this point, I'm receiving the funds and placing them in our contract line. I anticipate minimally we'll be purchasing some technical assistance around implementing the law and the new mandates that come with that. So I can continue to provide additional updates as we figure out what that plan might look like.
Okay, is there any kind of a time frame you have to work within to submit that plan?
Yes, the end of April.
End of April. All right. Any questions? Richard?
Do we have anybody in the house that's qualified to work on this? I mean, this money's where it's targeted to go,
What do you mean by work on this?
to be able to, this is new money for, and it's expanding a program that apparently we touch on some.
Yes, we're responsible for overseeing the assisted outpatient treatment program, which is also known as Kendra's Law.
Yeah,
So we're responsible for overseeing that and monitoring that, and the individuals that are placed under those court orders and the providers that are serving them. So the mandate is around enhancing the services that can wrap around those individuals who are court ordered, and additional staffing and oversight for the whole process.
and who monitors these people that are under this particular court order?
My office does, as
Your
well
office-
as well as their court ordered treatment providers as well. So as a team, we're overseeing how they're doing and monitoring whether or
Is
not
part
they're
of
in
probation
compliance.
part of this?
No, it has nothing to do with the criminal justice.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is mental health and mental hygiene the same thing?
Well, mental hygiene encompasses mental health, intellectual disabilities, and substance abuse. So mental health is one piece of that. So depending on the term that somebody might be using, mental health might lump all together. Behavioral health is probably more representative of all three agencies and
This
disciplines.
might be off the subject a little bit, but shouldn't mental health and substance abuse be under the same department as health?
Not sure if there's something for another time for discussion. You can look into that.
Right, it's, that's a whole structural issue, but long and short of it, mental health many years ago was under the health department, and then it was removed to social services. I'd have to do some research to find out.
It just
why
seems
they
like
did that.
social service has so much on its plate. It would be nice, and she's talking about money she don't know what to do with. I mean,
We will by April.
Have a good idea.
I can look into see why it was moved. There may be I want to know what the reason is before we undo it.
yeah, I'm not telling you, you're right. I mean, that sounds like a, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, I would just say another piece of that would be who is the end user. So if the people who are getting the services are similar to those at DSS, then we should probably leave it there. Who's being provided the services. We could look at that too.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. HS two, the resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Division of Mental Hygiene, to accept additional New York State Office of Addiction Services and Supports state aid for 2026. Nicole again?
Yes, so this is for vocational services, which are currently provided by Farnham Family Services via a contract funded by New York State OASIS. OASIS had plans to reconfigure how they were going to fund and provide vocational services for people who struggle with addictions and are in recovery. They have yet to finalize and implement their new plan, so this is the third, I think, extension of the local contract. So this is another extension through June 30th of this year and the funding to support that. So it would be passed through an increase to Farnham's existing contract.
Okay. Any questions for Nicole? Okay. Richard?
Yeah, it says existing contract, but that means that contract comes up for renewal every now and then, right?
June.
Yes, it's a calendar year contract, January to December. And this particular program is scheduled to no longer be funded as of June 30th. When the funding goes away, so does the service in the contract.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, HS three, the resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services to accept a reduction in safe harbor funding for 2026. Lee?
Yes, so this went into the budget as a 35,000 allocation, and we discovered that the state had reduced this across the state, and we're only going to provide us 16,949. These funds support programming through the Child Advocacy Center to address the needs of trafficked and commercially sexually exploited children and youth in Oswego County. Funding is 100% state funded with no local share impact.
Any questions?
May I ask a question about this?
You can answer.
I was just looking at how it was cut across the state, but there were 3 counties that got more, like 22, Cayuga, Cortland, and Onondaga. And I'm just curious, do they have Cortland and Cayuga are very more similar to our county. I'm just curious why they got more money. Do they have more issues there or something?
I don't have that answer. I don't know how they determined the reduction across the board. Certainly, there were some counties who didn't get any
There's
funding.
one county, yeah.
Yes.
I think I do. I think they're in a different stage than we are, that we've had it longer, and it phases out as you go through. So
Oh,
my guess is they're, like, if we were getting it for 5 years, my guess is they're not at that point where we are.
okay.
That's what I think I recall, that each county's offered over a period of time, like when we were offered it, Cayuga may not have that, and so now they're might be in the cycle.
Okay.
That's my guess from what I recall.
I thought maybe they had more problems or something. Thank you.
Before we go on, I need to apologize. I had made a procedural error. And going back to the first resolution, after presenting the resolution,
So,
second, okay, that's for
yeah,
HS1.
I saw that. I said, now we'll let that slip
I'd like to
by.
go to HS2.
Well, no, you gotta redo it, just
You
get a
gotta redo
motion
one.
and a vote on each one.
Oh, go ahead. HS1 seconded. All in favor, of HS1?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. HS2, a motion,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, we're to HS3, need a motion? Motion. Second.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I should be better at remembering that. Okay, we're at the section to set a salary for Deputy Commissioner of Social Services, and I believe Lee has an announcement to make for this person.
Yes, so this is Sarah Finley. She is the person I'm putting up to a point for the deputy commissioner position. Sarah, do you want to say how long you've worked for DSS and a little bit about your cred?
Yeah, so I worked at DSS for 18 years, and I look forward to taking this role on and supporting Lee. And thank you.
Well, congratulations. We go over these, setting the salaries, but they deferred to, F&P Finance and Personnel, and they'll finalize setting the salary for that. The next one is setting a salary for Director of Protective Services. Lee, you want to do that one again?
Yes, so that one is for Megan Rose, who is being appointed before the legislator next week as well. And do you want to talk a little bit about Megan's history with us?
Megan has also been at the department for 18 years. She's been the supervisor, one of the grade B supervisors over CPS for the past about 6 years. So she has demonstrated she's a strong manager, and I think she's an excellent fit for the Director of Protective Services role.
So the deputy's a new position, right?
No,
It's been in the budget for a while, but unfilled.
So the protection service is a new position.
no.
They're vacant.
Good question.
It's vacant.
There was a
You're
vacancy here.
Sarah had that position.
Right, she had the protection, right? Now she's deputy.
Yeah, and now Megan's the protector.
Understood.
Can I ask you a DSS director question?
Sure.
How many vacancies do we have in DSS right now?
Total, I'm not exactly sure each division. Some of
You can always
the,
ballpark it, I guess.
some of the reports might identify. Sarah, do you have your? Yes.
I've got it here.
Yes, some of these reports identify how many vacancies they have. So vacancies by title in human services, so this packet I gave you
Okay.
identifies that at the
Okay.
bottom. So this one here, these folks have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in integrated services.
Okay, I see it. Thank you.
Yeah, so each of them identify some of their vacancies at the bottom. There's one here for child protective services. I don't think mental hygiene has any vacancies now, none. They're all filled now. I believe the finance department might have 2 vacancies right now. So these reports all list.
Bill has
Legislator, if you have a copy of the Finance and Personnel Committee packet,
Mhm.
every month there's a complete vacancy report in there listed by department.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Richard.
Yes, I just want to make this point, and I think it's very, very important because obviously I'm a person that came from the private sector. But this is an opportunity for us to reward employees that go out above and beyond and do a good job and give them the opportunity to grow with the county. And that's important. Now, I'm not saying every job, because some jobs they should be from the outside, just to change the flavor up, and I get that. And I will fight hard on that. But the thing is, this is an opportunity where we have a couple of our own individuals, been with us a long period of time, and they see the reward at the end of doing the right thing. Because I feel very confident, Lee, and you guys just met him. I met her. You have no idea. I've been through a couple of them. She does a good job, and she's well respected out there. And helping build her team with good team members is very, very important. And these are good members for us also, because keep in mind, we represent the taxpayers, and we want the biggest bang we can for our buck. So, thank you, Lee.
Yeah, I think it shows consistent continuity within the department and longevity, as Richard mentioned. It's wonderful, and you have all that experience. You don't want that experience walking out the door. All right, well, reporting departments, and first up is Department of Social Services. Lee, you have a guest?
Yes, so today, this, is, Jacqueline Robinson. She is the new Director of Integrated Services Administration. So she actually stepped into Tiffany's role when Tiffany was promoted to the Compliance Administrator. So do you want to tell them how long you've been with us? And she's going to talk a little bit about the program she oversees. You can stand.
I'm going to stand just because I don't want to hide in the back.
She's
So,
short.
I'm little. So hi everybody, my name is Jacqueline Robinson. I go by Jackie. So I'll be beginning my 17th year with the county this month. So started in 2010. Began actually in Medicaid, SNAP, have kind of gone through the paces, trying to think here. So I stepped into a supervisor role in 2017, oversaw our support center. Within that year, I was pulled to go into housing, and that's where I've been since, is housing and homelessness. So since 2017, that's what I've been involved in. So this is actually a new opportunity. I'm kind of going back to my roots of the Medicaid support center and all that. So currently I oversee childcare, Medicaid, and our like our admin, our front desk, our support center, our intake team, and all of that. I'm trying to think of what else. But yeah, so I've been there just about, like I said, going into my 17th year. Definitely not a job for me. You know, as you just noted, this is a career for myself. So I'm actually really excited for this opportunity.
So why don't you talk a few more details about the different departments. So you oversee Medicaid, and talk about the chronic Medicaid and how some of that work happens. Like if somebody puts in a referral, there's a 5-year look back. Just give a few little background details.
Yeah, so Medicaid is, you think of Medicaid, you think of just Medicaid. Medicaid is not just one program, so it's multiple facets of Medicaid in there. So with that, you know, you have your community Medicaid that could be your Medicare savings programs and all that to help our elderly and disabled. But then you get into those long-term care and those chronic care cases, which are your nursing home or your long-term care facility. Those are not just simple applications of submitting what you have for resources. Those include 5-year lookbacks. So they're looking back into these individuals' history of 5 years of their resources to make sure that there was no transfer of assets and all of that. So these cases are pretty intricate and take a lot of time in order to sift through, especially when our team is getting cases that, you know, you have individuals who might not really have a full understanding of what they have for resources, right? They could have barriers that prevent them from really knowing. So it's really a sift into what they have for resources, kind of using the systems that we have to identify those, working with the families. One of the biggest things, I'm a huge person on communication and positive communication, and ensuring we're relationship building with our vendors that we're working with. So that is building those relationships with our nursing homes, because they are actually really a part of that application process for our individuals who are in nursing homes. So their staff are really working alongside our staff to make sure that all that documentation is coming in for those applications so that they can make a determination for their coverage. Child care as well. Obviously, you know, you guys have heard about our child care program. We are very hopeful. Governor Hochul has on the table increase to our allocation for Oswego County in the 2026 budget. So we're hopeful that increase will help our child care programs. Our front desk and all that, that is, you know, those are our forward-facing individuals that are in our lobby dealing with the public as they come in. And being in housing and homeless for so long, I've always said that people who are homeless, their biggest barrier isn't their homelessness, right? There's so much more going on to them, whether it's their mental health, addiction issues, lack of support systems. So they are really the front-facing individuals that greet these people, but in their most vulnerable and, you know, in their crisis. So that is a big job. You know, you think front desk, they're, you know, they're just checking people in, but they're not. They're really dealing, you know, with our most vulnerable public coming into social services. So
Anybody have any questions?
On that front with the front people that meet the
Yeah.
people that coming into the lobby, we discussed, I was up at DSS last week and, we went through a very nice presentation of the facility and some of the plans that she wants to do. And that lobby area it sounds like it would be a big benefit to her. She had it to go the way she wants it to go. She wants it to look like a social security or social service.
Social Security admin.
Social Security building where I think we can get rid of some of the some of the other things that are there that we don't, that the county's paying for, that doesn't need to be there, with her idea.
Yeah, so actually Jackie and I did that tour down in the Social Security Administration building where they're called secure interview booths.
Right.
And we went down and did the tour, notably how quiet it was there.
Right.
Totally different environment.
Yeah, it was a completely different environment. And so we're pretty excited because the day after we went on that tour, Phil sent me an email about Senator Schumer's funding. So I'm looking at trying to prepare to submit to obtain some of that
I
funding.
mean, that lobby
for-
area isn't that big. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not gonna take that much to do what you wanna do in there.
Yeah.
I mean, other than some paint and moving desks around and some.
Furniture.
Well, it would be a
Yep.
capital project.
Are you all set with Jackie?
Yes, we are.
Thank you, guys.
Jackie.
Thank you very much for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Wait, you'll all
I just
have
had one
one.
Just stand up
Yeah,
now.
So you're not in charge of making maintenance then? Any of the public assistance programs? That's a separate?
No, well, I'm intertwined in that, right?
Oh.
So, our intake division, our support center, they really are the foundation to our SNAP program, our Medicaid, or our SNAP program, our TAK. So we're very intertwined. So like Gidget's role and her director position and mine, very intertwined because the staff under me are really that foundation. So they're scheduling appointments, they're taking the phone calls, they're answering the emails. So a mix. So, yep.
So you're gonna proceed with your report?
Yes. So I just wanted to, again, we have Tiffany Timmons here in this new quality assurance and compliance administrative role. So we have 6 new seats around our table at the director level at DSS. So we've had lots of changes with staff turnover due to retirements. And so I think there will be a little bit of an adjustment period as each one of these new people acclimates to their new responsibilities, builds supervisory capacity, and stabilize divisional operations. Cross-training, onboarding, and leadership support structures are in place to ensure continuity of services during the period. And so I'm really happy to strengthen the team and get people in positions that are really going to have an impact this year. We did host the meet and greet with the new legislators, so thank you all for showing up. They showed up to my party. It's so nice. So thank you. Mike came out, so I appreciate your support in joining us for that. And I'd like that to be something ongoing so that legislators, have a platform if there are concerns that they can bring them forward and we can have a good conversation. So really appreciative that the turnout was strong, and I look forward to continuing to do that. Recently, we did convene our first executive strategy team meeting on February 24th. We met with HR and legal, and so this structure formalizes cross-department coordination on personnel, compliance, fiscal oversight, and policy alignment. The goal is to ensure that organizational restructuring, performance expectations, and risk mitigation efforts are aligned at the executive level and supported institutionally. So this represents a shift toward proactive executive governance rather than reactive issue management. I did want to talk a little bit and give some update about the EVA expansion, capital investment, and operational efficiency. So the IT director, Greg Pellin, has formally submitted a capital project request to support countywide implementation. EVA continues to demonstrate measurable operational impact. Even with reduced overall call volume this month, automation performance remains strong. 5,036 total calls handled across programs, 87 staff hours saved through EVA phone automation, 59 additional hours saved through EVA R&R functionality, 146 total staff hours returned to operations this month. These efficiencies have already allowed us to give back a vacant caseworker position because it has been long vacant now. But with her workflow modernization, we're able to reduce that. So the goal is not workforce elimination. It is smarter allocation of professional staff time, reduced administrative burden, faster processing, and increased capacity for direct client engagement. As EVA expands, we anticipate continued workload stabilization, improved response consistency, and sustained fiscal discipline while modernizing service delivery. So we're really excited about the expansion. Of course, we have been utilizing her for over a year at F&P. I will be communicating about that annual data information just to reinforce the downstream impact that she is also going to have over time. I'm going to let Sarah talk about the crisis respite.
Okay, so the crisis respite RFP is almost complete. We are finalizing our budget to ensure the model is both operationally effective and fiscally responsible. In January, we received a bill for $104,000 for a child in an ER for 30 days. And then we just received a couple of weeks ago another bill from a different hospital for $93,000 for this child was in the ER for 2 months, and we can't tell on the bill when they determined the child was ready for discharge. So what that period of time would be between ready for discharge and when we actually were able to find a place for this child.
Where the insurance would
Stop covering
the staff.
Yeah. So that cost is not sustainable. It's a service gap. It's not a solution. The crisis respite model is designed to fill in those gaps to be able to provide these kids the services they need while they're in placement, while we're waiting for placement. So it's meant to be a short-term solution, but it may end up being very cost-effective for us. We also have a lot of our current placements that become disrupted because we don't have respite for kids when these foster families really need a break. So we plan on being able to put some of these kids into respite, and then we won't be disrupting these placements. We'll be able to keep them for a longer period of time. We won't have to shuffle the kids around from home to home to home to home. Or we may even eliminate them going back into the emergency room. So there are a lot of positives with this RFP.
Yeah, so even avoiding those ER visits, boarding cases will offset a significant portion of program costs. This is 2 kids already, and we're talking about $200,000. And so I think that when a child is in the ER, they're not receiving any services, where in a respite situation, they're going to get the services and the care, both the services and the care that they need, which is better than a child remaining in an ER bed. So I think this is going to significantly impact us in how many dollars, because this does affect our local share. So I think this is going to be a great strategy on our part this year.
Give a question.
Yeah. What medical diagnosis does the emergency room give to sustain, to
They call
keep
it
someone
social
there?
placement.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense to me.
Well,
I can see your dilemma.
yeah, they don't like when the kids are there. certainly they're pounding on our door, come get this kid, come get this kid. But when we don't have a facility, because we're talking about kids with extreme needs, right? These are kids that have complex needs, mental health, medical related. These are not kids that can just be placed anywhere, right? And when we have qualified residential placement treatment entities denying these kids because they have that list of criteria, it really ties our hands. And the state is not looking at negotiating with us. They're not sitting at the table. It's been a real challenge. And so, again, I think this is going to be a solution. Maybe it's not going to be a perfect solution, bless you, but I think it's going to be one that can offset the expense that we're getting hit with here. Yeah.
What exactly is a respite?
Respite is when a foster parent has the ability, if your child has behavioral concerns and you're stressed out because, you know, maybe your child's threatening you with a knife, threatening to harm you.
So is this a
It's a break.
It's a break.
It's a break.
What,
Yeah.
is it a building that you want? Is that what you're saying? They go,
It's not a building. We're going to put out a request for a proposal. So we're looking to identify disability provider organizations because they already have the clinic and behavioral operations to be able to support that. And they
So the
also already
facilities are-
provide respite. So they
Okay.
have beds right now
Mhm.
that because of funding shortages, maybe they've lost funding, that they have these beds available. And so certainly it helps them, it helps us.
understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a direct connection with a gentleman and his family that head up a foster care group, and this is an extreme need in that area, and it's going to be just a fantastic thing. Richard, did you have something?
Yeah, we were talking about a facility. There's one in Utica, New York. And that'll be Marcy. It's in the south side of Utica. You're going up 12 and 8, going south. Go up the hill on the right-hand side on Oswego Street. It's up on that hill. So there is facilities. It's not like it's something that's foreign to the whole world. We just don't happen to have them.
And this is funded through the state.
I'm going to assume that because it's an institutionalized building.
Correct.
You can tell that right by looking at it.
Lee, you had more?
Well, I'm just thinking of some of those locations also don't take these kids, right? So this is why they're landing in the emergency room for such long periods of time. We've had kids in the ER for as long as a year. So
Or they just get shuffled to another foster parent's home.
yes, and again, then a foster parent is taking on a complex needs person. Maybe they have other foster children in the
Right.
home, and it becomes a risk factor when things escalate, and then they're bringing them back to our doorstep. And so we're trying to find a way, one, to get increased training for foster parents who would consider taking kids with complex needs. And then providing them the respite opportunity so that they can get a break to be able to manage that
Yes.
these kids are going to
Yeah,
have
the break
complex
is
needs.
necessary. Richard?
Well, what's the determining factor if you have an individual that has these kind of needs? What's the determining factor whether they should be in Hillbrook instead of a hospital? Because we can't be tying up a hospital.
So Hillbrook it's a detention center.
I get
so
that.
They would have to be charged criminally and then be placed under their JV. Or go into OCFS custody and then they end up getting placed through that. Our judges family court don't place without that component in a detention center. So some of these kids don't have any criminal charges.
Well, that's because of not
just
being
have
charged too a lot.
Behavior, and that does happen
That's
as
an
well.
issue.
Yes. That does happen.
Anything else?
I mean, just an example. I drive part-time for Golden Sun School Bus. And I drive one of the larger buses. One of the short buses, they take all the real special need children. There's one that'll park at the junior high school with a child, and it'll take a half an hour to get that child off the bus. And then they got these big cushions that cradle them to the front door. It's so sad.
Yeah, and so when we say behavioral, we don't always mean that somebody's behavior is criminal, right? It
Right.
could be that the nature of their disability means they don't have communication, and so they act out behaviorally. I've worked with kids who've broken out the school bus windows, and they are confined to a wheelchair, but were able to do that,
Right.
right? Because of their movements and how they're responding to the environment.
Yeah.
So when you couple that with a medical condition, or a mental health issue, now we have QRPTs who are saying we can't work with those
Sure.
kids, right?
Sure.
They're really difficult. And so I think the disability provider world is better situated than a QRPT where they have psychiatrists, clinicians, nursing staff on board. If somebody could have behavioral issues, a mental health condition, but if they have diabetes, there's no QRTP that's going to take them.
Correct.
That diabetes alone is one where they will get rejected from being accepted. So when that's the criteria, then that child's going to sit in an ER because no one is going to take them. But it's our problem to solve it, right?
Sure.
Because the hospital's knocking down my door. What is DSS going to do, right? And so I'm hoping, I'm going to knock on some wood here. I think this is going to be a good plan.
So,
And save us some money too. Transportation. So this was something I wanted to give an update on. It came up when we all met for the meet and greet. We had Heather Snow come in and do an analysis of our client transportation practices and, to assess the cost efficiency and routing practices. So a sample analysis identified approximately $30,000 in transportation trips that, if routed through available lower cost options, such as fixed route transit or access services, could have cost approximately $7,000. So we're talking about a $23,000 savings within just that reviewed sample. And so at the time we talked about, the courts do mandate us to provide transportation, but they don't mandate that we have to have, the first option has to be a taxi, right? We have lots of transportation opportunities, especially with mobility management, and we want to take advantage of that. So Heather and I are talking about getting some staff training so that staff's first response isn't let's get a taxi, but look at the other transportation, making trip decisions, right? And implementing a standard internal review process that requires staff to evaluate lower cost transit options prior to authorizing taxi services and kind of working their way up the ladder instead of this way. And taxi procurement. So we will be working on another RFP for transportation services. And the objective here would be to get standard mileage rates, eliminate unnecessary fees, like we get charged if a client doesn't show up. And sometimes they'll charge us double, right? Just because they didn't show up. And so I think that if we can secure competitive pricing, improve billing transparency, again, we could realize some good cost savings here. So this is an initiative that we really need to look at, and so we're excited to be able to enter into some contracts, whether it's an RFP where one taxi company is going to look at us to serve us as a whole, or to institute contracts with each taxi service so that we minimize the expense of what they're charging us. So I'm hoping that will be another good plan.
it's not like we don't have enough buses running around this county.
Yeah.
I mean, how many services do we have, though? You got the access, you got OTP,
Mm-hmm.
you got Central,
Yeah,
that's service in this
OCR.
county.
Yeah, we've got we've got a really good infrastructure now for transportation in the county. And so I think if we just formalize the process, you know, we're gonna strengthen and leverage that to our advantage. It's gonna be cost effective. So the next update is what we talked about, this congressionally directed spending through Senator Schumer's office. And I have been looking at a lobby redesign, taking into consideration all of the aspects of what our lobby does. So we have 4 deputies and a contract with the Sheriff's Department to provide security there. Before my time, I guess there was a pretty significant incident that occurred outside of the facility, not inside. And so I think increased security was the reaction to that. I'm trying to be much more thoughtful in how we are looking at the lobby, looking at the design of the lobby, how we can impact saving our resources in managing the flow of traffic via secure interview booths and a kiosk system that could triage people coming in. So like the Social Security Administration, somebody comes in, there's a kiosk, they sign in, and it kind of lands them into a queue that notifies the staff. And so we did do a little demo with a company called QMinder to evaluate whether kiosk-based visitor management system can be configured to meet our operational needs. I just think that the lobby modernization strategy, again, could impact the bottom line because we would reduce the related incident disruptions that we have in the lobby. But we would also have efficiencies with the throughput in that people are not having to wait all day long. There are, I think, at that meeting, we were talking about maybe trying to pilot this with our homeless population because there are walk-in clientele. And right now, all of our intake coordinators are literally booked to do intakes, and then we have walk-ins, so it's been pretty complicated for us to manage all of those walk-ins. So we think having a queue system like this could really make the experience better for the people who visit us, who have to sit out there, and for our staff, in the end, feeling much more safe and reducing those incidents, because we do have a lot of incidents in the lobby. And I will keep everybody updated on those. I did want to provide an update about, did anybody have any questions about that? Sorry. Okay, Phil?
You concentrate on Schumer, but Gillibrand and Tenney also have congressional directed spending that you can apply to also.
Yes. And I responded to you, which you've been in meetings all day, because I was wondering if I shouldn't try to look at satellite for one of those. So trying to take one of those other ones and thinking, could we get a satellite going and get some funding earmarked for that as well?
And one of the things you'll want to do is touch base with their staff to make sure that these projects are something they think their boss would be interested in. That'll help you decide which ones to apply to which ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so lots of funding opportunities, so we're definitely going to jump on those without a doubt. So we did have another concern about the Fulton PD and the hotel in Fulton. So Gidget, myself, and the hotel owner and management team, along with the Fulton PD, met and had a meeting with regards to the level of call volume at that hotel. So we did identify that there is a way for us to navigate this, looking at, the hotel is gonna resume monthly meetings with the people who stay there. So guests and or people who are placed there through DSS, having a monthly meeting to talk about security, rules, expectations, increasing internal hotel security presence. So as a result of this meeting, we talked about that, developing DSS contact resource cards for people who stay there so that those contact cards could be left in the hotel rooms so that if somebody is in crisis and they need mental health assistance, that they're calling the mental health hotline and not calling 911 for that. And so we're looking at seeing if we can help mitigate some of those calls that are happening. Some we won't be able to. You know, the kids get in there and they pick up the phone and call 911. You know, we're probably never going to stop that from happening. But we want to be able to start coordinating meetings. So the police department is going to show up for the staff meeting just to kind of talk about the kinds of calls that they feel like they could triage a little better. And then we're going to meet in another 2 months to see, you know, how that is and what's going on. The owner had indicated that he felt like, you know, this was something that he could improve on his end. And so we'll see how that goes. I just, for DSS, you know, it's kind of hard for us because I don't get to reallocate police resources, right? That's not my role. And we are required to place people. And so we're kind of trying to say, reactively, you know, is it looking at case management involvement? But again, not everybody who's homeless and gets placed in a hotel has case management. And so I think the idea that somebody could get kicked out of one hotel and then we're having to move this problem child, so to speak, to another hotel, but we really don't have any other way to negotiate that, right? So, so I think having these meetings and having the touch base could help us all understand what our roles are with regards to what our ability is regarding the law and how we manage it.
Richard, you have a question?
Yeah. The Fulton Motel there, it's my understanding, I could be not understanding it properly. Isn't it mostly families you're putting in there for the most part for a temporary time?
No, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, our goal first is to put our single individuals into the shelters that we have, but it's very limited, right? So we have an 18-bed men's shelter, we have an 8-bed women's shelter, and the majority of our homeless are single individuals. We do try to put our families in there, but we also have to follow what's called McKinney-Vento, which is ensuring that we're putting families in as close to the district that those children we're residing in. So if somebody is in the APW school district, putting them at the Fulton Hotel isn't always the most realistic option. It's putting them closer maybe to Pulaski so that bus ride for those children isn't so bad. But we do try to put our families that we can, that it makes sense in there, but based on our numbers of what we're seeing, families versus single individuals, I mean, we're utilizing any resource we can to place these homeless.
Yeah, and two, sometimes we will have two singles share a room. So when it's possible to save money, we will have two people who don't know each other share a room together.
Oh, that's gonna work.
Well, sometimes it doesn't work, and that's what some of these calls are, is that these people may get into fights and then we have to try to navigate moving them to another, finding a different roommate, so to speak, right? And so the hotel is typically really good about navigating that and saying, okay, let's see if we can't, move you with someone else, because we are limited with hotel availability too. Not all the hotels take the homeless. So I couldn't go down to Steamers and put a homeless
Probably not.
person in there, right? They're not gonna accept that. So we're limited on what hotels will accept people. And so although the police may have a high volume of call there's not a whole lot that I'm gonna be able to do to change the fact that they're getting called to that site. And a lot of the calls that are coming in, it's open to the public, so not every call, because it's the calls, the data that they provided is all location based. So they might, because of the high volume of incidents, they'll be recording cases where the police officers just drive through the parking lot to check out things, right? But it could be that, there's a person who's not on the DSS caseload, but the data that's being collected doesn't identify that, oh, this contact that was made with a person who has been placed there by DSS. So I think it's kind of hard to take the level of call volume, because I think they had, I want to say they had 42 calls year to date to that location. And so I don't know how many of those we're going to be able to mitigate with this new plan that we have to try to communicate and be a little proactive in telling people what the expectation is for being at the hotel, and then having contact information so that if somebody's in crisis, they can reach out and call the right resources and not just call 911 for everything.
You guys are opposite. The church down the road from there, I can't remember what the hell it is, but name of it. Down by where the Golden Corral used to be.
Okay.
Okay. They work a lot with the hotel. The
Believers
reason I know
Chapel.
that is my sister works on the board of directors in that church.
Okay.
And they provide meals for them on Saturday. They provide food, like a food bank. They know a lot about what's going on, who's in that hotel, and who they've thrown out of the church because they tried to steal and everything else. We got to get away from these silos. They might be able to, you can work with those people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a resource that obviously they're not going to cost us money, because they do it through charity work and things of that nature. So, I mean, just not for nothing. That's why I know about the fact that there's people in there, because they reach out to these people. They reach out to the management in the hotel during the weekends. Say, hey, we got a meal on Saturday. They got to sit, which really I'm sure kills some of them, but they have to sit through the service, but then they get a meal, a warm meal.
I'll make sure staff know that too, just to.
Pardon me?
I said I'll make sure staff, that's the first I've heard of them working
Yes,
with
they
them,
do
so
that.
that's good to know, yeah.
Do you know how many you have in that hotel now? That are
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I'd have to
So
find
you
out.
mentioned something about singles, having single people in there, 2 single people, and then you mentioned something about families with children that need to be in the district.
Mhm.
So those people, so singles can go out to Pulaski, and you could put more children in that hotel.
We also look at cost effectiveness too, right? So it's depending on where we have vacancies. We also want to look at, because we're charged, per night, or sometimes we'll get a weekly rate, which is reduced, which is great, which is what we want. So we do look, because we have to be fiscally responsible with that. We do look at that night per rate to see, what is the best financial decision of placement. We like the sheltering option first, only because there's that case management piece with that, which is also cost saving. And we know that they're getting a little bit more wraparound services rather than just being placed into a hotel. Part of placing doubled up, we call it, is because we also, when we're placing in a hotel, it is meant to be emergency housing. It's not meant to be, permanent housing. So it might feel uncomfortable, but the goal is to place them to, temporarily and get them into permanent housing where they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable once they get stabilized into permanency.
Lee, what else do you have in your report?
Just the electronic performance evaluation through Munis. We are nearing the end of that, where we will be operational with us being able to complete electronic performance evaluations in the Munis system. And we are also moving forward with mileage being completed through Munis. And that's it,
That's
folks.
it. Very nice. A number of great things going on there. Next is, Eric Zuzer, veterans. What do you have?
I do have a couple things that I wanted to bring to your attention. We've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails on this, that stuff that's been going on with the VA and state. So if someone reaches out to you, you'll at least have knowledge of what's going on. The first one is the VA's created a new ruling. That ruling, basically how it breaks down is what they've decided is the adjudicators and the C&P examiners, when they do these examinations, if the veteran is taking medication and that medication reduces the adverse impact of the medical condition, then the percentage for that condition will be based on that reduced impact. By law, they can't do that. That was New York State has an attorney that works for the veterans that has listed several cases that prevents them from being able to do that. The VA argues that it was just clarifying an existing policy, and they circumvented the administrative procedures and just incorporated it. So a lot of the organizations, SCAV, Legion, VFW, started screening, sent letters, contacted the VA, so they rescinded it for now, but it is now an amendment that's going to go into effect. A prime example that some of you may have heard is when the PACT Act came out, the veterans were presumptive now for hypertension if they were exposed to Agent Orange. They would go in, they would get their C&P examination done. They don't have to prove anything because it's presumptive. But in the 38 CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations, it specifically states under that code for hypertension, if they are on medication and that medication helps them maintain a normal blood pressure, then their percentage will be 0. That is the only code in the 38 CFR that states that. This statement that they tried to add would blanket the whole 38 CFR. It wouldn't take effect, it would only affect people that applied after it was put into place, but it would also affect anybody whose claim was reviewed. Claims are reviewed periodically. So for an example, in my instance, I have back issues. I go and get shots. If I go in and get the shots and the shots work and I'm doing pretty good, it improves my quality of life. They would base the percentage off of that improved quality of life. Those shots, for a lot of us, sometimes it'll work 6 months, sometimes it'll work 3 months. So in 3 months' time, the quality of life slowly deteriorates and you go back to where you're at 0 again. You're just, the pain is there. So that's the argument. They have now opened where if a veteran does contact you, let them know that they can now submit public comments on how they feel. And they can go and see what the VFW, the Legion, and the DAV, and the leaders of them have said about this issue. So that's out there. We've been getting a lot of emails and phone calls about that. The other one is a state issue. It's the property tax exemption that we talked about here before. We had a meeting last week. All the directors across the state got together and we're trying to reword that to where it, because the issue with that right now is in order to receive 100% or to receive the tax exemption, you have to be at 100% and you have to be receiving a grant. The grant that I'm speaking of is the Special Adaptation Housing Grant or the Special Housing Adaptation Grant. Those are two separate grants. One allows you to change the inside of your house if it needs to be changed, and the other one will build you a house if you need a house built. So to meet all that certain criteria, it leaves out veterans who are 100% permanent total. It leaves out veterans that are 100% because of TDIU, which is temporary individual unemployability. So we had a discussion where we came up with what we think it should say, and that information is going to be presented to the legislators so that they can, the ones that are in charge of this can take it to their constituents and their members, and they can try to redo this or revamp this. What we want is if a veteran is 100% permanent in total, they should be allowed the tax exemption. If a veteran is individually unemployable, but they received what's called a Chapter 38 compensation, that is just like being permanent total. So when it comes to individual unemployability, the veteran does not have to be at 100%. They can be at 70%. A lot of our PTSD veterans are that. At 70%, they can't work, so they are deemed unemployable, so they are paid at the 100% rate. If for some reason they increase their percentages for other conditions, whatever, and they reach that 100%, now the TDIU becomes mute and they become permanent total. The the argument that we were having was there are veterans that are out there that are 100%, but it's not permanent, or they're 100%, but it's not total. You have to be 100% P&T, and what that means is if they're 100%, but it's not permanent, then the condition they have that's leading into that 100% can get better, if that condition can get better. And the concern is, for example, if a veteran has knee issues and has 30%, and he's going in to get a knee replacement, the VA will put him at 100% for 6 months. If he receives that 100% letter, takes it to the tax assessor then says, oh, well, then you're exempt because you're at 100%. 3 months later, he's back down to 30%. And now he's receiving the tax exemption at only 30%. So that's where the wording is going to really play into it. There are veterans out there that want everybody that's at 100% to receive it, but the problem being is if they're not permanent total or they're not TDIU at Chapter 38, then that percentage could get better. So as that goes through, I'll keep you updated on where that's going.
Richard, do you have a question?
Yeah, please, because I'm getting driven nuts by my assessor. Reach out to these assessors because they are completely confused. You put out there enough information for the rest of the year. You're good for the rest of the year. This is, I understand it's federal government at its best. Let's be real. The trouble is, we're the ones holding the bag.
Correct.
So please get that information out to the assessor because I can't answer them anymore because what you told me today is completely different and it's not your fault. I didn't say that. I want to make sure I'm perfectly clear on that. But the rules are changing as we walk along. And this is getting crazy.
Yes.
And the assessors don't know what to do. And especially mine and Scruple, he is fastidious about that stuff.
Yeah, and the way it was written, it was not only confusing to the assessors, but to the veterans as well. There was a lot of veterans, and there were seasoned VSOs that were confused by the wording. They were like, the way this is written, they're not doing anything. They really didn't change anything. They didn't provide anything. There's maybe a handful of veterans in our county that would qualify for this. I know of one for sure because I saw them build his house. He had his house built with a veteran who had lost his legs. But there are other veterans in this county that are 100% permanent in total. They can't work, they'll never be able to work, and they're still paying their full, or well, they get their discount because as a veteran, you get a discount. Combat veteran, they add more, and then a disabled combat veteran, they add more, so forth and so on, but they don't get that 100% exemption. So as this changes, as we argue this, hopefully when it goes up, that we can get that wording changed and it will not blanket, all the 100% veterans, but more specify for the assessors who would be eligible and who would be not. But I can reach out to them and try to get that information out to them. That's not a problem.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I do. So we are constantly learning, and one of the ways that I learn is through the veterans themselves. I had a veteran send me an email, and he was asking about, the email basically said, what's this I'm hearing about the VA will remodel my bathroom? Well, as I mentioned before, we have the SHA and the SAH grants. Now, those grants are done through the VBA, which is the Veteran Benefits Administration. And that is not what he was talking about. So I got to researching it before I responded to it. And what I did find out is there's a thing called the Home Improvement Structural Authorizations. Now, I want to bring this up mainly because we have talked about ramps in this county for veterans, or not just veterans, but for other people as well. HSA is actually provided by the VHA, the Veteran Health Administration, and unlike the other grants, it's local. The HISA is through the Prosthetic Sensory and Aid Services, which is right in Oswego or in Syracuse at the VA hospital. So if there's a veteran, and what it'll do is it'll widen the doorway, it'll put handrails in their bathroom, it'll take their tub out and put in a roll-in shower. They'll install a permanent ramp, but they will not install anything temporary. They will not put a deck. They don't do repairs. But these are things that we have had veterans come to us for, and we have applied for these SHA and SAH grants and are constantly denied because the criteria is so strict. The criteria on this is not nowhere near as strict. It's a lifetime benefit, so they can get up to $6,800 that they can use throughout their lifetime. So if they do a modification and it only costs $500, they still have $6,300 that they can spend down the line as their needs change. So that's out there. If they contact us now, because it's VHA, we don't have a whole lot of play into it, but we can definitely help them apply. The only issue is once we apply, we have no eyes on it. We can't see it because it's the health administration and we have no access to that information.
The first thing about it is a veteran knowing about that availability.
Correct. And the fact that we don't know about it is upsetting because nowhere has anybody ever told me about this benefit.
Yeah.
And that's a problem we have when it comes to the VBA and the VHA is they don't communicate. So the VHA has programs out there that we don't know about. And this is how we find out. A veteran calls and says, hey, this is what I heard. Well, before I tell you that's not a thing, let me research it. And in this case, hey, that's exactly a thing. Here's how you apply for it. Let me know if you need my help.
Very good.
So that's out there. And again, mainly because we have talked about ramps before and we have veterans that contact us. The Dwyer program update, our VSO, Ward Bowen, has decided that he does want to take on the mentor position. So we are now in the process of trying to hire another VSO to replace him. And he has started trying to build that connection with the organizations throughout the county and the state so that we can really get this thing going. The building down in Oswego, I have spoken to Rick Doughton. He has told me that they have no plan of really renovating that building right now, but he's fine with us moving into that building if we want to. It's just we have to move into it as is. So anything that needs to be done, we can have it done after we're in there, or we can try to get it done. In that instance, I have talked to Heather Snow, and Heather and I have gotten together, and between the two of us, the funding, she has the funding that I have, the different grants that she has, we can come up with a plan to make it handicap accessible. There's issues with the bathrooms, things that we need to change in order to make it the best building that we can. I spoke with Tim Stalls as well, who also said that he is fine with us moving into the building. We just now need the approval of the legislation. So once the legislation approves that our move, then we can start purchasing the furniture and moving into that building. Now, and this is where I'm still trying to figure this out. For the legislation approval, I have been told I do not have to do a resolution, but I have to do a request, and I don't know what this request is. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this request.
Again, how about, we were talking with the chairman of the leadership group about putting together a group and figuring out the best use of that building and how we're going to go about soliciting departments for ideas that have an interest in that building. So again, stay tuned. We'll be getting that information out once the chairman's put that group together.
Okay, good. I already have it all built up. I have a whole PowerPoint slideshow that I can send you.
I think it's wonderful. You're going to have an office in Fulton and one in Oswego as well for veterans to definitely be
Yeah, and we'll still have our office in Pulaski. So the only other thing I have is the veteran that we talked about.
So last week, Saturday, Marie Shad called me. There's a veteran over on Hannibal Street that was in the hospital, and he had a dog that was at the house, and nobody was taking care of it. I guess he talked to the nurses at the hospital. They were conversing, and the nurses suggested to go in there and take care of the dog and clean up the area a little bit because he's 65. I don't think he moves around very well. So I had went over because the dog was getting out the back fence. And I brought a couple of pallets over there to block it off so the dog couldn't get out of the fence. But the girls were letting the dog in and out. So this was Saturday. I didn't have any chance to get a hold of anyone. I called Office of the Aging. They got back to me. It was the Monday or Tuesday. But I got a hold of Eric too, and I was wondering if there's something, maybe because his driveway wasn't plowed. There was snow in the driveway. So somebody had gone over and cleaned out the driveway. And like I said, the girls went over and cleaned up the house and took care of the dog. Now, as it is right now, I don't know where he is. If he's home, if he's still in the hospital. But I noticed that the driveway's been being cleaned out. I don't know. And so I got a hold of Eric to ask him if there's anything veterans could do. Because, I mean, I did talk to the Office of the Aging, but I would think, veterans, you're all brothers, right? Take care of each other. So I thought Eric could do something to help them out. And what you come up?
Well, initially we tried to reach out to the veteran, and we had him in our system. We had 2 phone numbers, and neither one of them were in service. So after I talked to you the second time, we actually, Ward, who's now our new peer mentor, this is a prime example on what we need to start our program for. Him and Matthias actually both went out to the home because, again, it's a veteran. We don't know what we're walking into. The veteran was home. He was home from the hospital. They had a nice conversation with him. He told them all about Germany. They provide him with all the information of everything that we can do for him. And at the time, he said that he really didn't need any assistance, but he has our contact information. As the peer mentor, when it comes to things like getting his fence fixed or getting his driveway plowed, those are the kind of connections that our peer mentor is going to make within the community through the VFWs, the American Legions, so that when something like that happens, we have a number we can call. We have a guy that we can contact. We have a group of volunteers that we know we can rely on to go and help these veterans out. So currently, he knows. We did find out that he had like 4 phones. He told us at the time that they were all disconnected, but luckily there was a nurse there. Actually, there was like 4 of them, and one of the nurses took Bowen aside or Ward aside and gave him the number. So we do have a contact number for the veteran now. So we will keep an eye on that. Yeah.
And the way I understood it was the Fulton police were going over and checking out and making sure he had food or whatever he needed. Like I said, Marie called me, asked me to go over, check, make sure that because he wasn't there, the girls were there, he was on, and if I could do something about that fence, so the dog didn't get out. And that's the most thing I guess he was worried about was his dog, which he stayed home to take care of. He's by himself. He stayed home to take care of his dog, which made his health worse. He should have been in the hospital soon.
Well, and in a lot of those instances, what we try to do is we try to get the veterans to reach out to their VFW, to their American Legion, because they are local. I mean, the towns have the American Legions or the VFWs. And if they're not a member, we try to find out why. Why are you not a member of this? Because I know the legions that I've been to, they provide services for veterans all the time. And you don't have to be a member. If you just reach out to them and you're a veteran, they're going to come out and they're going to help you as best as they can.
I think that's a classic example of the peer mentor program right there, and it's wonderful that Ward is taking that over now and has a contact for this fellow.
I mean, we got veterans all over.
Yeah. Are you all set, Sheriff? Sarah, Office of the Aging.
Okay, well, I shared it with Jessica, and she'll share it with you. We, at our office, we work with the Oswego County Prevention Coalition, and they created a video for us regarding our services with our new space. And it's for the next 30 days. It started last week, so the next probably 25 days, it's going to be on, it's an ad that's going to be on TV, mostly first thing in the morning on channel 3, 5, and the CW6, but it's also airing during Price is Right and some Crunch Games as well. So, but
Prime time. Price is Right. You
yeah.
ready?
Oh, thank you. This is different now.
We partner with them, though. They do, the Prevention Coalition and, Farnham. We partner with them. We offer space for the WISE program, which is the Wellness Initiative for Senior Education. And there's another class that's coming up. It's, a 6-week class where older people get education on medication management, you know, to come together in a social setting, to speak a number of things as well. But they had funding in their, in the grant that they received to be able to provide this. All the partners with this, including Arise and Liberty Resources, they're doing advertising for all of them as well. So we just happen to be one of the first ones.
I don't know how to sign into this on here. I know that this, now that they redo this computer.
Should have brought it over on the flash drive.
Might make you re-authenticate.
While she's bringing that up, one thing that I saw you had on there, I think it's wonderful, is the community involvement, going to all those libraries all throughout the county and providing those services. And that's excellent to provide that for people out there.
Yes, we've been doing that for a number of years where we're going out into the communities because not everyone can transport into Oswego. We know, I mean, transportation is much better than it ever has been in the past, but still some older people still aren't comfortable getting on the access bus and coming into our office. So we've gone out in the community. We're in Amboy and Pulaski and Sandy Creek, Parish, Central Square, Hannibal. Trying to think, I'm probably forgetting a location, but to have staff there, we request an appointment so that staff, so no one's waiting because it's in 2-hour blocks, but we go out to those locations so that people can come in and see us and we can provide application assistance or provide them with information on services that are available. Right now, the most people are coming, getting KEEP assistance, completing their KEEP applications, but we provide, you know, application assistance for SNAP, Medicaid, or just providing information on other services and agencies that are available in the community. But yes, every month, we're at the locations once a month.
We're having technical difficulties. so you
Yeah.
can just-
I'll continue on with my regular report then. So I don't know if I mentioned it last month or not. I don't know if I knew about it prior to our meeting, but the Central Square congregate dining sites, the church itself is closing at 811 US Route 11. It's the community church. They actually are closing their doors. That's where we have our congregate site. So we are moving that site. Our last day to provide meals there is on the 12th, March 12th. They're going to be closed for a week while we're getting set up temporarily at the American Legion in Central Square. And then we're looking to move into the First Baptist Church at 701 North Main Street in April.
So you're not curtailing the program, they're just in a different facility.
Yes, right, same we're not ending the congregate site, we're not changing managers, it's just changing the location because the church was closing. And that's one of our highest attended sites at Central Square. There can be anywhere from 15 to 30 people that are attending meal, and that's open 3 days a week. They have bus transportation 2 days a week. One of those days also offers a shopping trip. But yes, so we're just moving and hopefully to the new site beginning in April. We also, the month of March is March for Meals. And normally what OCO or contractor has done is offered up a ride along a congregate or a ride along a home delivered meal route or participate in meal service at one of the congregate sites. This year, they're going to do an open house at their kitchen. So, and it's gonna be between 2:30 and 5 p.m. So it's just a drop in. You can see how meals are prepared. You can meet with the staff. You can see how they do the transportation. You should be getting an invitation directly, but I brought these with me today too, so you have it in case it's a couple of days, so you save the date. March 25th is when it will be. It'd be great if you could just drop in and see how the operation really works. We also are Oswego dining site. We're looking for an opening day of May 12th. So we're very close because May is just 2 months away. So we're hoping to start providing meals at our Oswego Dining Center, our Oswego Kitchen, and in our new expanded office space beginning May 12th. We're more information to come, but we're looking to have an open house for that on May 6th. So you'll receive an invitation to that as well. Are we set?
I think so.
Okay, we'll
Okay, here
see
we
here.
go.
This is only 30 seconds, so.
And how long did it, how long did the filming take to make?
It was just probably an hour they were there.
Just an hour, so
Yeah,
pretty quick.
yeah, they were really quick. They just had one of those little Go cameras. And I did send out a call to all of our advisory council to participate, to be our actors, but ended up being my husband and one of our advisory council members, so you might recognize.
I recognize Elizabeth.
Elizabeth as well, yes.
Should be a 7 meg file. That's only a 1 kilobyte file. So it didn't transfer to your thumb drive. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, well, I have it on my,
Okay.
I have my email on here. They redid the computer, so I can't get on my, people can't get on their personal,
Oh, okay.
email addresses, but I have it.
Phil's
saved.
gonna give it a shot, so,
Oh, okay. Keep going.
what else do we
So I'll
have?
keep going. So we're still accepting nominations for Senior of the Year through this week. And this year is the 2026 older or ACL theme is serving up solutions. So if you know somebody that volunteers for a home delivered meal route or at the congregate site, or I'm thinking your family member that's at the church that provides meals, that would be a volunteer opportunity to nominate them to be our older person of the year. This person, we can promote 2 names to the state, and then we go to Albany. And I misspoke last month. I think I said I was at Gideon Putnam is where we go, but it's the Crown Plaza Hotel, the Desmond, where we go and have the State Office for the Aging provides a luncheon for all the nominees, and then their names, they also get put into the pool for the State Volunteer of the Year as well. So if anybody knows of anyone and you want to nominate them, I brought some additional nomination forms with me. And then this year is our trifecta year with evaluations. On Friday, March 13th, we'll be doing a desk audit with the State Office for the Aging. They're going to be reviewing our transportation program and our caregiver case management. They'll be on site April 21st through the 23rd to evaluate our nutrition services program. So they go over all of our policies and procedures. They will go to the kitchen. They do go to ride on a home delivered meal route, as well as partake in a meal at the congregate dining site, and making sure that all of our I's are dotted, T's are crossed, the meal menus are have the correct nutrition, and there's a nutrition analysis provided for the month's meals. And then May 19th through the 21st, NYSOPA is going to be on site to evaluate all of our programs, not just the nutrition, but all of our programs that we receive funding for. So they'll be looking at every single one, make sure that we're doing everything that we need to for the funding that we do receive. So the next 3 months, we'll be busy with that. And then Friday, March 27th, we will have our first partner family game night. We're working with Friends of Recovery. We'll be at Catholic Charities from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be playing intergenerational games. And OFA will be bringing our games that to make it truly intergenerational, because we have the Game of Life that has Millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, as well as the game Trivial Pursuit has the different categories. We have matching games that has like a cell phone and a rotary phone, so you have to match those together. So a lot of different intergenerational games we'll be bringing, along with what they will have there is traditional games to play with the older and younger crowd. Then March 31st is the end of open enrollment for Medicare Advantage plans. We do anticipate an uptick in that because Oswego Health will be discontinuing accepting United Healthcare for their home care service as well as their primary care practice this year. So they are encouraging anybody that has United Healthcare to look at other options available to them, and they'll be listing us as a resource to help them or assist them with that. KEEP is coming to a close sometime.
The Oswego County Office of Aging.
We're here to support healthy aging in our community. Visit our new senior center to enjoy the dining space, computer lab, and hands-on training opportunities. Caring for a loved one? We offer free caregiver tools, support groups, respite assistance, and Project Lifesaver. Through New York Connects, we help individuals of any age access long-term services and apply for SNAP, Medicaid, and E. Don't miss our new wellness initiative for senior education beginning March 5th. Call 315-349-8697 to learn more or register.
There you go.
Yes, thank
Very
you.
nice. Very nice. I did recognize your husband.
Yes, I wasn't expecting to have to do any of that, so I was not stressed, but yeah, we're very happy with how it turned out. There were some different, wasn't quite flowing, so we had to switch some stuff around, and that's not our regular phone number. Our regular number is 3484. We listed our New York Connects number because that's how we do the registration for the WISE program. We didn't have two different phone numbers on there, so we just went with the New York Connects 349-8697 number. So, haven't really seen a big uptick in any phone calls on that, but you know, it's a tool that we can continue to use as well. And
It might take some time to get the return on that.
Yeah, so sorry, it's American Red Cross wants my blood. my watch is just ringing. The last item, we continue with case manager interviews. We do have one vacancy. Once that position is filled, then we'll be able to add additional people into our home care program. Right now, it is a home delivered meals vacancy that we have, case manager vacancy that we have, but the person, the home care person is doing a little bit of both. So we have to wait until we get the new case manager for meals so that they can take a full caseload of home care clients. So hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll be all at least trained up so they can do the meals, and we'll be adding additional people in for home care. That's kind of all I had.
Any questions for Sarah? Brian?
All right, here we go. I'll go quick. All right, so our leadership of Oswego County Youth class, the students met twice in February. During break, we did an all-day retreat. They worked on their persuasion skills and debate topics. And then this past week, there was a 2-hour delay, so that limited what they're doing. But they're working on biography PowerPoints, which is interesting because they have to take information they learn about another class member, and then they have to explain them to the classroom and then go about it. And we try to teach them the proper way of not only going about that, but when you're going to present with your audience, how to keep their attention, etc. Moving forward, our New York State Governor's Youth Council. We're getting ready for our peer-to-peer presentation. I've told you before, I represent the central, southern tier, and every other area of the state decided to give me. I have the biggest region. I have 17 counties that I oversee. So we have to do 2 presentations. One is going to be youth mental health in schools, and the other is going to be youth and AI, which is important because they talk about the benefits of AI, but also the way that your AI can do your homework for you. It can do all sorts of different things, which in the end are not good. So tonight, actually, we're going to be meeting tonight and Wednesday night, and then on the 16th, they will present to the governor's office as well as other different aspects from the state. For example, for the mental health piece, there will be areas of the state that will be on that call to represent as well. The Empire State Results Leadership Network is a partnership that's between the Youth Bureau, DSS, Probation, and OCO. And they met for the first time last week. The goal this year is long-term to help establish juvenile justice collaborative among county department agencies better to serve our youth. So not every application was accepted, but our Otsego County one was. And again, thank you, Sarah, helped with that process as we go forward with that. So that's moving forward in Hannibal. For those who are interested, I know that Noel helps with that on March 28th, they're going to be having our 4th annual Easter hunt in Hannibal, the Easter egg hunt. So stay tuned for that. That'll be happening. New this year, I talked a little bit about it before, but on August 1st, we're going to have our first Girls Empowerment Retreat at Camp Hollis, and they're putting a collaborative team together to present at that. It's going to be for girls ages 10 to 16. It's going to talk about putting together future vision boards, trust building activities, discussion circles, different guest speakers, self-defense. And one thing I think is really interesting about it for this year that I don't know if you've seen on social media, but there's a woman from Hannibal, I think her last name was Crayons, and she's associated with the girls' women's hockey team for the Olympics.
Okay.
And she has somewhat committed to either getting herself there, getting a player there, or getting a jersey or something available. So hitting the iron when it's hot there, that's one thing that we're looking at. But again, if they're, not to be that guy, but if there's any women that feel they would like to be a part of that group, I've already been told, man on land, I can't make an appearance that weekend, that not allowed. But we are trying to establish this group, and that would be, we're looking as just getting off the ground as something we want to continue with. The Leadership of Otsego County adult class, and you heard me talk about the youth class, but the adult class has chosen for their class project to work at Legends this year. So they're going to actually help open Legends, which will be good because they'll be up there. I'll get them a whole list of things they can assist with us on, but I'm working out the details with them right now. Let me see what else. Oh, we started another program that's just getting kicked off right now. It's called the Student Athlete Leadership Council of Otsego County, and it's dedicated to empowering youth and young adults through, this is just what we're putting together, the inclusive leadership, mentorship, and community engagement. So this is something that you all hear positive and negative about athletes within our community and how they act and how they interact. And this is going to be a group that is going to meet monthly. They're going to get together. They're going to talk about things right now. We've got a committee together that's made up of myself, Kyle Perez, Sean Broderick, and Greg Callan are the initial people who are involved. Connor Griffin doesn't know, but I'm going to make him do it as well. But these are all leaders within our community, and they're going to work with our athletes. And not only that, but also many of us are involved in different events, so they're golf tournaments and things to that end. They're always looking for volunteers. So the same thing. I'm going to have a list where I go together and say, you know, I have 200 athletes in Otsego County. I can get you 20 at least to work at your event that day. So they're going to get back to their community, but also learn about how the right way to go about doing things. I mean, I have 4 athletes in my family. My youngest is still in high school. And the same thing is just letting them understand, and all the adults involved have all been athletes through, they're all coaches or athletes, so they're going to be working with these students with that. On February 18th, we had our kids' night out at Camp Hollis. We had 50 kids. We had a glow-in-the-dark dance party. With that as well, they created Valentine's Day cards for children at the Ronald McDonald House. So that was working with there. Our Youth Leadership Alliance, I'll pass these around. This group, by the way, I would like them to report to this committee when it's done. It's a group of youth that will meet and discuss different things within the county and how things go about. It is a partnership between us, the Prevention Coalition, and the Child Advocacy Center, the CAC, that the three departments, again, are collaboratively going to work with kids, and they're going to do different things within the community. It's kind of like dating myself years and years ago when I used to run the Youth Advisory Council. It's kind of replaced that within ours. But my point being is this could be a group that you, as a legislature, the county could say, hey, we're really interested in this. And then you have students on the ground in the schools that can go and get information for you. So that's a piece that we go about doing. Their first meeting is coming up. It's March 15th. So they'll go there. A couple camp updates. Camp Hollis currently, as of last week, we had 164 registrations so far, 15 staff positions full, including our co-directors, our program director, our nurse, and our kitchen manager, all difficult to get. I do have a sheet here. We are hiring still at Camp Hollis is one of the places. So if you're looking, people are coming to asking for summer jobs. There are some out there. Let's see. We did a bivouac at Camp Hollis over February break. Here's some pictures of it where we had kids come to camp. We had 23 campers for an overnight program, and they raised close to $500 for Friends of Camp Hollis. So that was a good experience that they have. We're going to do another one over spring break. So this gives an opportunity for kids who are not going away during break or anything to be able to take advantage of some of the camps and things that we have to offer here. We are doing our annual spring cleanup at Camp Hollis on May 2nd. So if anybody wants to volunteer or knows anybody, we partner with Constellation. It's the 6th year where Constellation picks Camp Hollis as their project, and they'll go about doing it.
Right. Excuse me, one thing, Richard had a question.
Yes, sir.
You make a hell of an auctioneer.
Yes. Ready to get out of here.
All right, Brian,
Yes.
this girls empowerment thing you said about 10, 15 minutes ago,
Yes.
10 to 16 years old, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this Valentine's party, you had these kids up at, again, to Camp Hollis. How are you recruiting these kids?
We basically, through social media, through the schools, the whole process we go about, we have flyers that you get, so we send those out. Like you see when Herb left, he took all the flyers because he gives them out all over. So we post these flyers, we use social media, word of mouth, things to those matter.
All right, and that's good that you're using that. I am.
No mailings anymore.
I'm not, yeah, I'm sure. It costs too much. But the thing is, social media, I'm not big on either, but that's neither here nor there. How about, because the children that are raised in this area, Oswego, Mexico, Phoenix, Fulton, they have a different way of their being raised and the exposure they have than they do at Sandy Creek, APW. I'm familiar with all these schools, so my kids did go to APW for a while until I moved to Shenandoah in Albany. But, and I went to Phoenix and Central Square both, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, there's a need for this type of information and also this exposure up where Herb left, but up in Herb's area.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard it was all Camp Hollis. Now, I know we plow snow up there, so I'm sure these buildings are available.
So two things of that. A, I'm still coming through my report, and B, remember a couple of years ago, Camp Hollis was winterized. So it's open at this time there. Camp Zerby is not winterized. So I can't do much out there other than outdoor activities. But at Camp Hollis, there's heat and things out there, so I can operate that. You're going to hear some Camp Zerby stuff come out here in a minute, but that's not,
forget the camp.
Right,
the kids.
Right, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We reach out to the whole county. We don't discriminate on certain pieces of it. Like anything, you'll find certain groups will travel certain places more than others. I mean, there's no question about that. But we will focus on all kids in the county. We send When you'll hear me talk about other things, we're including all pieces. Things you're gonna hear in my report about Zerby coming up. So far, for a little bit of Camp House, because that's coming off the wire right now. Stay tuned, you'll get more here.
Well, I'm watching.
Right? There we go. All right, so, where was I? Okay.
I'm sorry.
I know. So Independence Trail on May 15th, we're going to do our second annual collaboration day with City BOCES and Rosemont Gifford Zoo. So Rosemont Gifford does a big project every year. Last year they picked Independence Trail. They want to come back again this year. City BOCES sent a couple hundred kids last year, which they'll do again. Rosemont Gifford, we work with City BOCES, we collaborate to get information together, and then we're developing new signage that's going to go out to Independence Trail. Is going to focus on some of our wildlife that lives out there. It's going to talk about wetlands, things to that matter that we are interested in, we are trying to protect, and we'll put those up there. So not only are we cleaning up the property, but we're also educating the community on what they have in their own backyard. So we'll be doing that on May 15th. If anybody wants to help with that, we can. We'll put this out there. I will bring more information on that as the date gets closer. There's also a Master Gardens Club coming up, and that's working with leadership of Oswego County and Cornell Cooperative Extension. And that will be at all our facilities as we go through the work with those things on working with master gardeners as we move forward. Now keep in mind, Camp House will be a little bit of a focus of that because if anybody's been around here long enough, Jim Fafaya used to run Camp House forever, and now he's like the master gardener. So Camp House is his baby, so that will be his focus, but we'll work on all the facilities as we go through that. We did find out recently that, I think, Phil, you probably know this, but it was a little weird to me. 2 years ago, I applied for a New York Swims grant, and the state just notified me like a week ago that we got it from 2024. So $50,000, but we can't use it. The city of Oswego can because we're not a public pool. So I wrote a grant, and congratulations, City of Oswego, you're going to get $50,000. County of Oswego can't. Now, if New York Swims comes back out again, you will see how I will make Camp House a public pool. Because even if I do it for like an hour, I believe it qualifies. So I'll figure that one out if it comes back out again. I did talk to a couple of our elected officials about it. But City of Oswego, they're going to get some money for a grant 2 years ago. Camp Zerby summer registration is open. We can do 35 campers a week. Right now, between all 7 weeks, they are filling up. Our largest number is 18 campers for 1 week. Our lowest number is 10 for the first week. But being that we're really in the first week of March, that's pretty good. That will sell out. We've also hired our summer camp director, which I feel is very important because if somebody returning from last year, she's a school teacher in the APW school district. She knows all the kids in the area. She was fantastic. I still have 4 open jobs at Camp Zerby that I'll bring information for that. We also at Camp Zerby are working on we're doing some research to replace our underground water system. I talked a little bit about that before. I'm working with the health department on that to look to replace that system. Right now, currently, we've had people using the facility for outdoors, but with the way the weather is at this point in time and the water system in need of some work at this point in time, which B&G is going to do once the lots of snow up there melts. Basically, all they can use the restroom right now because their buildings are not winterized to be used up there. Our Legends complex, we just hired our summer seasonal maintenance position. That will be good because, believe it or not, varsity baseball and softball starts in about 2 weeks. So will they be at Legends? Probably not. But at the end of the day, we'll be ready for them when they get there. We are doing a girls softball questionnaire right now because we're probably going to tweak that program a little bit because we get large numbers of girls who want to play softball, but the numbers dwindle as the season goes on. So I'd like to see it run more like Little League and start it like beginning of May and end it when school gets out for the most part. We can continue it in the summer for those who want to, but for the most part, you see as the dog days of summer come along, the numbers dwindle a little bit for that program. So I'd like to see it, but they're really really high when, like in May and June. So I'd like to see it go for that. So we're doing a questionnaire right now for the participants to find out what they're looking for. Summer camp ideas. We're looking at that. The adults that play softball at camp or at Legends Fields, they want to play, they're going to be signing on March 7th. They're signing a contract for spring, summer. They're looking to do 3 to 4 nights, 3 to 4 nights a week. This will bring in quite a bit of extra revenue by us doing that obviously we can reinvest in the program. Depending on the weather, they're supposed to play softball in the snow up there this weekend. If it's really close to 60 degrees, I don't know if that's going to happen, depending on how much snow melts, because I can't have them ripping it up if the grass is exposed. But if they have snow, they're good. If not, they'll can't play there. We do have this first, the first annual City of Oswego versus County of Oswego softball tournament, and it is employees. It's employees. And some people may say, and I understand where you might come from, like City of Fulton, you're like, well, where are we? I'm like, well, you can come in here, but if anybody knows me, the mayor of Oswego is a big softball guy, so who do you think generated part of this Oswego along with there? But anyways, there's a softball game that Veronica's playing, I believe, in the tournament. But that's the tournament that'll be coming up. I do know that the list has been filling up for those who are looking to play. My friend Sarah told me she used to be a big softball player, so we'll talk to her about that. Okay, so
legislators can sign up.
They can. Lee Walker told me he was playing. He said he used to be a softball player, so he told me he was going to play. So I don't come up with these names of these events, so keep it from there. There will be the Ballpark Bunny Bash on April 4th at Legends. This is a collaborative event that's put on between my office and the OCEA, which is Oswego County Early Childhood Alliance. They were looking to, they have some grant money they want to spend. And really, it's a good idea to have it at Legends, and I'll tell you why. You have 6 fields. So you can put a certain age group on one field, separate them. Because when we've run egg hunts in the past, the bigger kids can take over. So here, you can put all certain age on one field, and they're all fenced in, so you don't have to worry about anything in your list. So we're working with that. We also we had recently a group of young people who visited. They did what's called Hearts Across Generations. They delivered 300 handcrafted Valentine's Day cards to Morningstar and the Gardens. And then last month, you guys might recall, at the meeting I was telling you I was going to Albany the next day. There was 300 youth across the state who were there. I brought 4 from Oswego County. I met with Senator Welzak and Assemblyman Barkley. Senator Ryan, because I wanted to drop their name, he had to cancel on me because he got called to the floor. He could meet with me 4 o'clock later the next day, but the kids had been there already for 24 hours and they couldn't stay that long. So I'm trying to set up a local meeting with them. All of our elected officials are very receptive to what we have going on here in Oswego County. I also have, we're putting together our first annual day camp at for the Syracuse Mets. They do a youth day in August. And I've been working with a few on getting the bus transportation together. The Columbus Clippers are playing the Syracuse Mets, so that's a flyer that can be put out there. We haven't started the registration for that yet because it's still pretty early. It's more like a save the date because after many years doing this job, you realize if you put it out this early, people will sign up their kids for it. And then as date gets closer, they're pretty busy at that point in time. So we'll wait till May or June to actually start signing kids up. Our goal to that is to sign up kids who will probably get to a Syracuse Mets game without something like this. So that's our intention as we go forward. But we're certainly not going to turn anybody away. We're just looking for more busing and things will do that. And then lastly, here's a save the date flyer for our Oswego County Youth First Summit. We'll have about 900 8th graders. We have 8 of the 9 school districts committed so far. Some of you may be helping out or participating at this event at the fairgrounds. It's our 21st annual doing this, and this is I will be looking for maybe somebody here to give a welcome, as in the past, we usually ask for a legislator or somebody to give a welcome to all the students that day. As we get closer to the event. So, as the weather gets better, you will hear more things happening at other places such as Camp Derby and such. But right now, we're battling snow up there, getting it all off the roofs and keeping it moving. But we're staying pretty busy. We do have a couple things in the planning for Camp Derby this summer. We are going to do a movie night. We're hoping to do. I've been talking to a woman up there who knows the history of Camp Derby maybe more than any of us do. So I asked her if maybe her and her family, if we set up a night, could give that history piece. They have photos of the camp and everything from forever ago. Actually, it's interesting when I talk to her, she'll tell me where things were. So like if B&G's looking for something, she'll say it's right over there. And then that's where they go looking for it. We have that. And then the other thing we thought was interesting, and we don't, for whatever it's worth, you got to remember our young people today, they all have these in their hands. They all make videos. They all do whatever. We are thinking about having a night up at Derby where we'll screen it, but where they can show their videos they're making, and then, you know, other kids can rate them for them and things to that matter. So that's in the works. Some of my staff are putting some of those things together right now as we move forward. I have a couple New Vision students and interns that will be starting soon as well. So we'll have more youth interacting with our program development, which I think is important because all of us have great ideas, but none of us were in a high school classroom sitting as a student, probably not even you, Savannah, in the last couple of years. So some things we think are pretty fun, they may not find as fun. So I like to involve them more with the planning process so they can let me know how old I am and how things are fun anymore. But that's pretty much what we're doing right now. I also saw my phone buzz when I know that was Senator Walzak's office. I saw a 518 number, but it's actually funny. It said your pictures are ready from last month. So that's it in a nutshell. May have forgotten something, but
Richard, you have it?
Yeah, Brian, obviously it was winter over at Legends Field.
Yes.
We had a lot of snow over there.
Yep.
And
it's melting though.
Yeah, but it's melting slow.
Yep.
And it's also cold.
Yep.
Now, you wanted a hydro seed, not you personally. But I guess we're stuck between a stone and a hard place, so now we're gonna have to hydro seed part of those.
Yes. Field 5 outfield.
That's gotta push us back, because hydro seed doesn't take very off.
Right. He
the
said
ground's gotta be warm.
Right. We have a meeting Friday. We had one a couple weeks ago. We have another meeting Friday with the contractor. He said perfect world. If they are able to start hydro seeding around the beginning of April, we get some warm, rainy couple weeks. He said about 3 weeks, and he said it's not going to be perfect this year, but it's not going to be. He still said it'd be quicker than sod because sod takes much longer to take than this move. So either way, the contractor is telling me the hydro seeding is the way to go. Oswego wants that large field for their varsity. To my understanding, like last year, Mexico played up there regardless. So they can still play on some of the other fields if Field 5's not ready immediately. My hope is in a selfish world, it rains a lot, so it grows, and rainout's happen in baseball, so they have to reschedule everything in May when it is ready. That's what I'm hoping.
Hoping, pray.
Rainouts are good because then they get rescheduled, our fields are ready to roll, and other than that, the other fields I've been assured are going to be ready to roll other than melting. They're all fine.
Sarah, you had something.
Girls softball will play there.
Yes, I just wanted to correct. I said that we were working with the Farnham and the Prevention Coalition with Liberty Resources, not Liberty Resources, Creekside Counseling. I just want to make sure that was on the record. I don't want to misspeak on who their grant is with.
Right.
Is that you, Bill, related?
Ryan, thank you. There's always a lot of activity.
I'm sure I forgot that. But anyways, that's where we're at. Our webpage has a lot on there. I know a lot of people have asked, between homeless and things of that matter, we could have a section of our webpage devoted to that for being able to call, but understandably so when I get phone calls, they go directly to DSS or OCO, which we do have a good collaborative team working together. I think just going back, I know we're all ready to go, but I think Sarah is a great choice just because she's somebody I always have to call for when I need stuff.
Thank you.
They're all great stuff.
So good to hear.
I can tell you lots of stories about Jackie too, but the runaway.
I want to thank you for putting that all in a nutshell. You got one giant nut out there.
We tried.
Put all that in a
I ain't talking about our new logo. Want to know about the new logo? Oh, gee, this is established 1945, not the right date, that's why it's not out there yet, so. But we are putting these together because we want, you know, the different things to be recognizable by the public and the community. And so we're working on new logos for all our parks.
Okay, in light of that, I'm looking for the appropriate motion.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you a week from
Thank you.
Thursday.